Thank you. Dr. Herath Gunathilaka, one of my lecturer when I was studying in the university there for my undergraduates, and first I thank you all for inviting me for this occasion and for the keynote speech, and I can see most of very familiar faces here because I am not new to the environment or the climate change discourse. Uh, f- uh, Good morning to you all. So it's a great pleasure that I accept this opportunity to say a few words in in the policy context of climate change and agricultural policy, agriculture, whatever the policy relevance and main concerns for the inequalities in income distribution, what are we mostly struggled throughout the history, but I don't see that any much of the significant progress that we have achieved in the field of equal distribution of fair distribution of the benefits arising from this economic growth. But for the growth, although despite there are some of the drawbacks in some of the natural and as well as our anthropocentric measures, we have achieved some growth throughout the history, but I wonder whether we have achieved this much of growth, widening the income inequality or the disparities of income distribution, special reference to Sri Lanka. But I am not, it is not my subject, or I am not going to talk on that, but I am more concerned about, so because of this recent development, if the environment ideology, we are more concerned about the climate change. So the scientists say that such a phenomenon is happening. So the climate is also a change in atmospheric conditions, but that change is changing over the time. So it was scientifically proved that temperatures are being increased and the greenhouse gases are responsible for that. So the for our our activities, that we are emitting more and more greenhouse gases, and we are cutting trees and forests, and we are reducing the green lungs of the system, so that most of the carbon dioxide are being accumulated and other greenhouse gases. Then ultimately what happened is the normal climate pattern of the globe or the country has been changed. So we are expecting some of the extreme events and slow onset events or whatever. So the context has become, the natural context has become unfavorable for our living, and at the same time the system as a whole. So that is we are worried about. So the most eye-catching, most catchy subject areas before about 5-6 years now, not much interested. Biodiversity, land degradation, but climate change has become most how popular area. Everyone is interested. You know, I assumed duties last February. Since my assumption of this duty as a climate change director, it is a big, it is a very busy job here. Everyone wants me for different things, right? Some needs for different jobs, different stakeholders, private sector, public sector, and even the colleagues. So it's not an easy thing. So we are an agricultural country. So our workforce about 2 million, or to the statistics I am not very much a person who believe on statistics. Those are just data, are produced for the purpose of some people. But if we accept those things, it is our majority people's livelihood. And so why we, what is the relationship? Very clear, and you all understand why we are worried about our agricultural livelihoods will be at risk because of the changing climate. So the Ministry, Climate Change Secretariat, being the national focal point for the United Nations uh, Convention on Climate Change, we have identified the nationally determined contributions, NDCs, mainly for this agriculture sector. There are about 6 or 7 nationally determined contributions we have identified uh, with conditional and unconditional targets to be achieved in 2030 or different time periods. We have been updating all the time this according to the requirement of the Triple C Convention, and at the same time our national requirements with under the changing situations. Even now the thing is going on, and we have some based on those NDCs we have, there are conditional NDC targets and unconditional. Conditional means unconditional means that we are bound to do those things to reduce the for complying the targets set by the Paris Agreement. So to have that global temperature levels more or less constantly under our control, so we have committed that our NDCs we have some unconditional things. So the national governments pledged to achieve those things. So we have prepared different documents like Net Zero 2030 Agenda, Climate Prosperity Plan, our adaptation plans, and lot of different national implementation plans. Not only these adaptation sector like agriculture, different other sectors, fisheries, and at the same time mitigation sectors also. So those are their targets, right? Conditional targets and unconditional targets. Conditional means if someone helps us, global community or any other funding agency or private sector, CSR, or whatever it is, if we get some support, we can achieve this conditional. That is additionality. Additionally, we can go for that also, because most of the salient feature of this Paris Agreement is that it is more democratic, that it has even more chances for non-Annex 1 countries also to, if they are willing to do something voluntarily, there are some people, some mechanisms to support that. So we are having those things. Not to, I don't say that we are successful so far, but we are struggling. We are having a drive to achieve our objectives. So these agricultural NDCs, whether it is conditional or unconditional, we have pledged to do those things with support or with our own resources. Agriculture gives us food and other things, it's true. But it is the primary livelihood of our people. So if, we can import food and feed easily, because there are countries who produce surplus food with low cost, with their available technologies. So with the comparative advantage, we can import and feed our people. We can forget about agriculture and people's livelihood, whatever it is. So we are no more worried about the equality or whatever it is. But we cannot do that. We don't do that. We try our best to price control or whatever it is. The governments try to save our people's livelihood and all those things. So what is the nexus to climate change? Because it is the most important, most considered, most significant adaptation sector of a country like us. We are living in a tropical belt. So most of the thing, our cultural heritage, whatever it is, which are not priced in the market, are associated with this agriculture. So we happen to think beyond economic growth. So the traditional indicators, we measure our prosperity, but that is our livelihood, that is our primary livelihood. If climate change has make opportunities, so if it is a threat, we have to be more concerned about how our agriculture sector behave. So what are the nexus? So in that sense, so the poverty and other related chronic problems of the social setup, very important that you are talking on this, and very much I really appreciate that your effort very much. That's why with a very short thing, really speaking, I have another workshop going on some other place, and in the also I tried to my best to participate with you to say a few words. I appreciate very much. So how we can, I mean, with these situations of this COVID or post-COVID economic recession, and from the media and other sources, we have identified some of the economic policies also. Our farmers and our agricultural livelihoods are suffering a lot, right? So associated with some unequal distribution of wealth also. Poor has become more chronic poor. I don't know, were there any studies to reflect those real situations of the country in the remote areas? We don't know. We are working with the available data now. So, but I don't think available data are there. If someone interested in doing research in that, no, that is the situation. If someone is not interested and if any research hasn't been done, no data, then how can data say some story to us? So then, so that is the big thing. So now there is a great opportunity because of this climate change. You know, climate change is not like our conventional environmental problems. I can talk on days on solid waste management or the waste problem. I can talk on biodiversity degradation, very sexy subjects, but this is not that. This, you know, climate is phenomenon, it is available everywhere. So we cannot find out the culprit behind it. We are finding out the people who are emitting greenhouse gases. We are having systems of MRV, transparency systems to arrest those things and report in the Paris Agreement, and we are more smart in reducing greenhouse gas and all those things, and to get some economic benefit. That's true. But it is very difficult because the changing climate is changing, but changing has become more changing. So the gap has been widened so far and being widened now. So that's why I say that we have forgotten some of the things in equality, fair distribution of the wealth among the poor. All those things we didn't think about very seriously in the past. We were more prone to the growth-oriented policies. But now this climate change has asked us to think that you have forgotten something. You can be more concerned about the forgotten and foregone things, that is equality. So, you know, poor will be suffered more, and not only the poor, the rich also will be suffered too much. So then equality matters, and we can find out more opportunities because of this climate problem, so that we can be more concerned about, because growth has created these problems. No? Who created these greenhouse gases? Growth, I mean. And if we were more concerned about the innocent livelihoods emitting little greenhouse gas, we won't have this much of problems, no? The ocean would have been same as no sea level rise or whatever it is. But so my final thing is that it is a blessing in disguise. We have great opportunity because of this climate, and if we can go for meaningful climate action, inequalities or whatever the issues, and at the same time growth also, we can achieve in a different perspective, and it will it will open us good opportunities to accomplish our dreams as a nation who are living in a diverse tropical belt of the globe. Thank you very much.